What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's the King Koopa. If this is your first time stopping, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Let me know what you think. And if you're a returning viewer, please scroll down in the comments, say hey, say hi, tell me how your day's going. Let me know what you think of the videos. So I'm super happy to post this video because we have the engine modifications done on the truck, and she sounds mean. Super nasty. She is no longer the little sluggish 4.8. She's the mean, nasty, obnoxiously loud, my neighbors hate me 4.8. We did a lot to her. To sum up the build that we did, we basically left the block, left the pistons, the crank, all that. Everything else top end up is basically brand new or changed or modified. But a quick overview of the build. We have the Trailblazer SS intake manifold, the LS3 90mm throttle body, S&B true cold air intake. We have 243 milled heads, new rods, springs, LS9 lifters. We got Speed Engineering long tube headers, catless wide pipe, Gibson muffler, Gibson tips out the side. We got a 226 by 234 crane cam, new belts, hoses, springs, the whole 9 yards, so new knock sensors, everything. So we're going to cover all those parts in a minute. We did get the transmission built by Jess Lewis, so it's rated for about 600 horsepower, so I think that's plenty for what we're doing. It has billet input drums, billet input shafts, it has a street strip shift kit in it, so it does great. And that does have a 2600 stall in it. I replaced a lot of the stuff while I was there, so I don't have to replace it down the road because the truck does have 120,000 miles on it. But we'll talk about the parts in a minute. I want to talk about some of the new videos coming up down the channel here soon. So we did pick up a Trailblazer SS engine cover. I don't think I've seen a Silverado with that Trailblazer SS engine cover, so we're going to be doing a video just on that swap. We're going to have to do a lot of trimming on it. And some of you guys might have seen my SS bumper install video, super detailed, helped a lot of people out. Well, we're going to be doing the exact same style on the Trailblazer SS intake manifold. I know a lot of you guys are interested in the intake manifold swap, have a lot of questions. There are a couple videos on YouTube, but some of them just aren't very helpful. Well, I got a video coming for you on this intake swap because it's going to be just like my SS bumper video. It's going to be super detailed, going to tell you everything you need to know. We're even going to talk price about it, how to do it. So stay tuned for that video. We have the dual electric heated leather bucket seats with a center console coming in here soon. And we have a Detroit True Track differential, so that way we can get rid of that one tire fire and really lay some smoke down. And you might just be thinking, hey, it's just a little 4.8, you're not going to be putting a lot of power down. We already have our nitrous kit on order. We have half the parts over there. We just ordered half the other parts today. So she is going to be for sure getting nitrous, so hopefully be breaking some hearts with it here soon. So we're going to be doing a video on that install. I have a lot of content coming your guys' way, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, enough of me talking. Let's hear how the truck sounded before we did all the modifications. Alright, let's talk about parts. So you might be wondering, if you want to do the cam swap, what kind of parts you need. I'm going to show you all the parts I got. I went a little overkill because sometimes it's like while you have the engine torn apart, you're in there, you might as well just replace that part while you're there. So I did spend way too much more than the standard budget on a cam swap. But let's check out the parts. We have the cam itself. We have a new timing set, a Melling high flow oil pump. Those are the 243 milled heads. We have the head gasket, cam retainer plate, oil pan gasket, valley cover gasket. We got new exhaust clamps because the Speed Engineering clamps aren't very good. New timing set gasket. We have some heat shield to wrap around the headers. We got two Bosch O2 sensors. We got a new idler pulley, idler tensioner, the LS7 lifter trays, a new crank pulley bolt, true cool trans cooler. We got the valve cover gaskets, some ARP bolts, multi-layer steel, header gaskets, the long tubes, intake manifold gaskets. That's the 3200 stall, and we also got a new dipstick tube because we bent the crap out of that one trying to get it out. Plus you got your oil, your transmission fluid, your radiator fluid, a whole bunch of that stuff on top, the oil filter. But you're definitely going to want some Loctite, red and blue. You're going to need some assembly lube, and get some of this copper spray adhesive to help seal the head gaskets. Also, if you do have a 4L60E transmission, I would recommend getting the True Cool Trans Cooler, as it'll help keep that transmission very cool, because the 4L60E is a super weak transmission, and you want to try to keep that coolant as cool as possible, because that's going to help preserve the life of it. Because I guarantee you that I'm going to end up grenading this transmission or turn it into like 6 neutrals. So these are our new LS7 lifters, so we're getting these all out of the package. There's a preservation lube on here, so we're going to have to use some brake clean, get all this cleaned up, and then we're going to soak it in motor oil overnight. Also, a quick little tip, it's really important to stay organized. That's why we're doing simple stuff like the radiator shroud quantity 6. Got all the hardware right here, throw it in the bag. That way whenever we go put this back together, we know exactly right where these go and how many the quantity is. So we got the hood out the way. That thing was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Should have used 2 people. Now we can actually see what we're doing. That hood blocks this light right above, so it casted a big shadow on the engine bay, so now we have a lot of clean light to work on. Also, I'd like to do a little shout out to my girl because she made me some custom stickers right there, so pretty excited for it. I think that's the first sticker I actually have on any of my vehicles, so. We got the air intake off, we got the headlights off the grill, got a little towel protecting the bumper. We also drained the oil, we drained the radiator fluid, and made an absolute mess up underneath there. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to start disconnecting all the stuff to pull the radiator out, and we're going to start taking the belt off, and then once that's out, we're going to start working on the air intake, tearing it down to the heads. So this truck was a one owner. An old man owned it since it was brand new. He traded it in at the dealership. So the truck only has like 110,000 miles on it. But check this out. This dude must have really liked blue. You got blue hardware there. Blue there. Blue there. You can even go deeper in the firewall. There's blue back there. Blue on the idler pulley. So this dude took all these bolts out, painted them blue, and put them back. Probably didn't torque any of them to spec, which most of those weren't torqued anyways, but we took the fan clutch assembly out. Even those are blue. What was this dude thinking? I mean, check this out. Go to put gas in the truck. Blue! Alright, so we got the driver's side manifold off, and the passenger side manifold is stuck on right now because of the dipstick tube. We can't get that off. So we're letting it soak with some PV Blast. Hopefully it won't snap it off. But we took the valve covers off, took all the rockers and push rods out, and next probably take the heads off. And we put the flywheel holding tool on so we can take the crank pulley off. So we're getting there. we got the cam in. We got the new timing chain on and set, so the timing's perfect. We got these Loctited and torqued. The new oil pump is on. And right now we're going to have to try to put this nut on the bottom side of the pickup tube onto the oil pump, which is the biggest pain in the butt. After that, we can start putting the timing cover back on. We'll start putting the lifters back in, throw the heads in. And then we need to get our push rods measured because our heads are milled, which decreases the compression chamber, which increases compression, which gives us more power. So that in turn is also going to have shortened push rods. All right, so we ran into a little issue. So we are replacing the timing chain. In order to get to the timing chain, we got to take the oil pump off. And to do that, you have to disconnect the oil pickup tube. And there's one bolt holding it on, and it's very difficult to get to. We've been struggling for like the last 2 hours with it, probably 3 hours. So we're going to have to drop the pan to get to it. But let's check out where we're at right now. We got Derek and Josh over here doing the torque sequence on the heads. So there is the timing set with the cam gear. There's the oil pump. Right down here, that's the oil pickup tube, and the bolt that bolts that in is right inside here. So it's incredibly difficult to get to. So we were waiting about the last 2 days on push rods. We had my buddy Joe come over. He checked them out for us. We got our push rods in. The stock length is 7'.4", and these are 7.375. Because the milled heads change the distance, and our cam's base circle is a little bit different than a stock camshaft because it is a pretty large cam for a little 4.8. Alright, we have our rockers on. We're about to torque them down right now. So you cannot just torque all of these at once. You actually have to rotate the engine internally. You have to wait for the lifter to be on the base circle of the camshaft. So if the camshaft is spinning inside there and one of those lobes hits the lifter, that's going to shove the lifter up, shove the push rod up, and that's going to shove the rocker arm down, opening a valve. Well, that's going to increase pressure on the spring, which in turn is going to put pressure on this bolt, and it's going to give you an improper reading for when you torque this bolt down. So you're going to have to rotate the engine assembly over until you see the rocker arm dip down, and then when it rocker arm dips back up and stops and stays there for just a few seconds, that's when you know the camshaft for that lifter inside there is on the base circle, and then it's good to be torqued. So we got the trans cooler mounted. Our light bar is blocking like 3 rows of it. Hopefully it's not going to stop too much of the wind and reduce the cooling effectiveness. If not, we're going to have to take this light bar off and probably mount it down here or buy a shorter light bar to mount in there. Not sure yet. So we're just going to play it by ear for this one right now. But also a little more updates. The headers are wrapped. Got them all wrapped up. Some stainless steel zip ties. Try to get those as tight as possible. So looking pretty fancy. We also got the drive shafts rebuilt and beefed up with bigger U-joints. So they said that should be able to withstand the power we're running. And we just picked up the transmission this morning, got it beefed up, said it should be able to handle about 600 horsepower. So pretty excited for that. So let's get it unloaded and hopefully throw it in the truck. We still have to flush the lines first, and then we can start putting her in. Alright, so we got the transmission in, we got all the bell housing bolts torqued, we just got those top 3 brackets for the vent tubes and the harness and a whole bunch of other stuff brackets on. We got to tighten those nuts still, but the next thing we're going to do is tighten the torque converter bolts, and then put the transfer case on, the sub cross member on, and drive shafts in, so let's keep going. Alright, so we got everything in. I kind of sped through this last part, was just really busy, GoPro ran out of battery, stuff like that. So we got everything in. I think everything is wired up. We got the battery connected, all the connectors are connected, transmission's got fluid in it, oil's got fluid in it, transfer case is good, antifreeze, brakes and power steering are good. So hopefully she starts. I've never been so nervous, it's been a while. So wish me luck. Here we go. Alright, so we got some good news and bad news. Good news is she started, so that is a plus. Bad news, we have 0 oil pressure. So that could be 4 things. It could be the oil pressure sensor, meaning the sensor is bad and it actually has oil pressure and it's just not reading it properly. It could be the oil pump is bad, the pickup tube is not seated, or the O-ring on the pickup tube is nicked or cracked or damaged or cut or something like that, causing a suction issue. So the first thing we did was swapped out the oil pressure sensor, took about 20 minutes, and started her back up. Still had the same issue, 0 oil pressure. So we shut her off again. We had to drop the splash guards up underneath. We had to take the front differential bolts out, drop the front diff about 4 inches, and then we had to take the whole oil pan off. And as soon as we took the oil pan off, I seen the issue right away. And as we're looking at this picture, we're looking up at the bottom of the engine, and you can see the pickup tube and the O-ring not properly seated into the oil pump. You can see that little gap right there where I inserted a scribe just to show the size, and that would definitely cause an oil suction issue. So we took the pickup tube out, double checked the O-ring, heavily coated in assembly lube, shoved it back up there, got it all torqued to spec, put the oil pan back on, put the diff on, started her up, and boom, we had oil pressure, about 40 psi, solid. So that was awesome. So that is definitely something to look out for if you are changing the oil pump or the timing set. You don't necessarily have to change those two when you do a cam swap. I did just because I was right there. The truck already had 120,000 miles. Might as well change it now instead of down the road. So that was great. We pulled her out in the driveway, let her idle for about 10 minutes, and then boom, ran into issue number 2. She wouldn't start again. She would start, but you'd have to put your foot on the gas, give her a lot of juice, and then once it would come down to idle, it kept dying. Well, that was because we actually had 32-pound injectors running on the stock tune, and we were fouling out the plugs. So we fouled out a set of NGK plugs in about 10 minutes of idle time. So we ran to the store, got a new set of plugs, swapped the new plugs in, and then the tuner came the next day, didn't start the truck at all. He came and did his base tune, then we took it out driving, took about 2 hours of tuning. I'm super happy with it. She pulls hard, nice and strong, shifts hard. It does have the shift kit in the tranny. But my gauges go to 6,000 RPMs, and our shift points at wide open throttle are actually 6,500 RPMs. So she definitely gets it now. I'm really pleased with how this build is turning out, and I don't think I could be any happier right now. She cruises great, going down the highway at like 80 miles an hour. She's like 2,100 RPMs, so I think that's perfect. Definitely not pushing her or struggling to go fast. I'm about to show you a quick little pull that we did running through the first and second gear, but before I leave you on this video, I just wanted to say thank you to my friends and family for helping out, especially my girlfriend, my dad, my best friends. And I also want to say a big thank you to you guys. So thank you for all the likes, the subscribes. I appreciate it. The shares, everything. All the little comments, they definitely help out. If you guys like this video, please comment below. Let me know what you think. And if you have any questions, please ask them below. I might not be able to answer all the performance questions, but I do have a pretty decent idea of how the LS platform is. So once again, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I appreciate all your support. And let's go check out this pull.